everybody, and welcome to Sasquatch Secrets. I'm your host, Nikki Colon, and I am so happy you could be here. We're going to have a good show today, and we're going to talk about trail cameras, something I have absolutely no idea about. But I learned, let me tell you, in the last 3 days, I have learned a lot, and I've got a couple of guests. But we got one for now, and I'm going to go ahead and bring him on in.
Hey, who's that guy?
Hey, how you doing, Trackway?
Not bad, not bad.
Good. I'm glad you're here because you have your expertise to teach everybody all this stuff about trail cameras, because there's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, there's so many different kinds, and you really have to know which ones you need for what reason. And it was a big dive, into a lot of information. So in a little bit, we might get Brent to jump onto in a little while. But let's see who we've got out there today. Oh my goodness, I can't even get to the top. There we go. So who was first in the house? Well, Brian and Chewy said got the notifications on. He's got them on. I haven't seen him come back in yet. We'll see if he's already here. But I'm glad you're gonna be here. There's Henry May. Hey, hugs to you, Henry. Lance Windsor, welcome. Welcome to the show. Grasshopper, I hope you got your smoke in time. Jen is here. She's off work. Who else we got? Kevin Harder. Good to see you, Kevin. And we have Sharon. Had a good talk with Sharon. Angel Nolan. Good to see you. Robert, there's Robert, as always. Thanks for your support. I had a little ding, but I don't know where that came from. Hey, Richie Evans, good to see you. Good to see you.
Hey, Richie.
Oh, Bat Mom's here.
Betsy.
What'd you say? I wrote everyone's name out and the screen refreshed, losing everyone. Just say hi, everyone. It's okay, Bat Mom. Hey, there's Cornell, the No Such Thing podcast. I really want to get Cornell on here and have him tell me about what he's got going on in the future. Let me see.
Cornell's
Max Powers. There is Max. And Max, if you want to join in, you're welcome to join in as well. Just let me know and we'll shoot you over a link to come in. And I think I think I'm finally at the bottom. Oh, there's B-Lynn. B jumped in there at the bottom. So happy you guys could be here. I am so stoked. I'm really close to my 1,000 subscriber mark. And it's all because of you guys coming here every week and supporting me and my channel. And I do appreciate it. I'm trying this last little 36 or so. I'm trying not to look because it goes up and down, and it's driving me insane. So we'll leave it at that. And just remember to please hit that subscribe button and hit that like, leave me comments. And we'll keep doing this every Sunday and have a lot of fun. So let me move us around and bring up the show. So, trail cameras. So many out there. And I posed a question right away to the chat. Are we going to find Bigfoot with trail cams? Do you think that that'll be a factor in, discovering Bigfoot? And we are at, Let me pull this up and see what it says. What are we at? We got about 31 people in. So if you haven't hit the, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let's see. We have 20 votes in. We have about 31 people around in the chat. So go ahead and do that poll for me real fast so I can end the poll and we can see what people, it kind of looks like most of you are saying no. That trail cams are not going to be a big factor in the discovery of Bigfoot. And when I say that, I know there's a lot of you out there that have already, you know they exist because you had your encounter, and that kind of doesn't put you in the running for what I'm talking about, because I'm talking about to prove it to the rest of the world, that hard evidence that we are looking for, and that everybody strives to try to prove. So I'm gonna go ahead and end that poll right now. We got about 67% say 66 no, and 33 say yes, that it will be a factor. It's kind of what I thought it would be, right in that range. Let me see. Hey, Sandra! Sandra's in. Glad to see you, Sandra. Hope you're feeling better. Oh, you do your best, Sandra. You just sit back and relax and just listen to the show. We appreciate you completely. We have Max saying that they will contribute to how you look for them, but won't be real evidence due to the low res and AI graphics. AI continually comes up because it will be a factor. Nobody believes anything. And if you do believe in some of the crazy stuff, in the last couple of months, there hasn't been a whole lot of stuff going on Facebook. And then all of a sudden this week, man, there were some people putting out some ridiculous stuff. So I really had to use for later on in the show some of the stuff I'm using, and some old stuff once again got brought up. So we'll go through that a little bit later, but let's head on down to the questions. My questions. Will using trail cams help identify Bigfoot? Can Bigfoot see trail cameras? Can Bigfoots hear the trail cameras? Or can Bigfoot see the infrared light? Because these are questions that always come up every time people want to dismiss trail cameras because of these things. Well, they can hear them, so they're going to avoid them. They can see the light. We'll cover, and then you hear people covering up the lights and all this different stuff. So we're going to try to see about, can they hear it? Can animals hear the trail cameras? It seems like it. It seems like a lot of animals can and do notice trail cameras in the area. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start off with first doing a little bit of an exam on, do trail cameras scare deer? And from your experience, Bill, first off, what do you think about that?
Well, there's two different trains of thought. Number one, if you're out there and you're using trail cams for trophy hunting, which is what I did for 10 years. So when I started running trail cameras, I started with 4 trail cameras and I ran them nonstop throughout the year. And the one thought process is that you didn't want to get into what's called a buck's bedroom. Okay. And you didn't want to give anything notice that there's something different in their bedroom if that's your target. Whereas, the does, on the other hand, not so much. Now, I personally don't believe that the camera spooks deer. I said Matt Larson and I, we did a real big deep dive as far as what draws their attention to them, because you've heard all these things. You've heard UV light, you've heard EMP, you've heard, electromagnetic field, you've heard IR, and you've heard charging of the capacitors. And the actual answer that we feel it is that in each camera there's one mechanical piece, and that mechanical piece is the piece that shifts the IR filter in and out, and you'll hear that click, 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 click. And
wow.
And given my understanding of programming language, we would all think that when the camera comes on, that it senses the daylight and it only shifts that IR filter once. And then I started doing a little bit more thought process and more deep dive into how would a programmer approach that. And the answer is it would go back to ladder logic every time. So every time the camera fired, it should shift that IR filter. Click, takes a picture. Click, takes a picture. Click. So, and that does explain why, over the, I've had hundreds of thousands, maybe possibly I might actually be up to millions as far as going through trail cam photos and so forth.
Oh my gosh.
I'll run into a sequence where, you'll see where the IR filter's in there. You run into a sequence where, and then the very next sequence, the IR filter's out and out and out. And so we started really hashing it out, and we were kind of thinking that it's that click, because you'll hear it audibly on the camera, when that IR filter moves. It's actually drawing the attention. Because when you think about it, deer, I know what you're about to do, but what you're about to do in your slides.
Go ahead. Yeah.
But deer lack a specific cone in their eye.
Right.
So they really can't see that.
Right.
And if it's scent or whatever, they sniff all over it. So I don't really think that that's as big a factor as how many times a person goes in and checks it. And and that became a huge thing where, are you patterning the deer? Excuse me, are you patterning the wildlife, or is the wildlife patterning you? And as started finding out that it is the second one. You are getting patterned. When you go in there, you're leaving your scent. If you're not, exercising scent control, the sounds you make going in there, if you're not going in silently, if you're not exercising scent control, not, minding your P's and Q's, you're conditioning the animals as to when to expect you to come in and when to expect you to leave. And I think that's a more broader base. And when I made a switch to a type of camera where I didn't have to go in and check it for months, a couple months at a time. Actually, I got cameras I don't check for a year.
Oh my goodness.
Things changed a lot. So,
well, according to some of the stuff I was looking at, that specifically for like deer, that their color vision is limited due to the short blue and middle green wavelengths. So as a result, deer likely can distinguish blue from red, but not green from red or orange from red. So hunters would be suited wearing green, red, or orange, but stay away from the blue colors. And you have to wear orange for other hunters out there. That's the whole reason for wearing that blaze orange. But I never knew about that deer could see blue better.
And that became a big contention amongst hunters is, why am I wearing this color out there that I can see a mile away?
Uh-huh.
I can see another color a mile away. Why aren't the deer seeing it? Why aren't the deer reacting like humans are? And
Right.
that brings up a very important point, because we're using deer because that's the one, what the white-tailed deer is the most studied animal in the United States, flat out.
Yeah.
It draws them the most amount of money. But it brings in the point that knowing what other animals see, we tend to put our traits onto animals, and it's not necessarily true. So animals don't see the same as we do. We don't see the same as a lot of animals. We don't, insects, we definitely
Right.
don't see the same as them. So
They're all different. All eye structures are different according to how that animal evolutionized, So deer need to see at night, and therefore they have more rods. We have more cones in our eyes, so we see more color, and we're better suited for light vision. And a lot of animals don't have that. They have more rods, which is suited for the nighttime. And of course, the tissue, the tapetum lucidium, which is their glow, the glow in their eyes, helps with that as well. So now humans are different. We are trichromatic, meaning we have 3-color vision. So do old world species such as chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans. These have 3 types of light sensitive cells in the retina, and they're fine tuned for the blue, green, and red. Now, rods are for sensing motion and work best in low light conditions. And all mammals, including people, have more rods than cones. And vision in brighter light can detect different colors and such. So it is, if we want to say that Bigfoot is similar to our old world species, then you can make an assumption, it would be speculative, that they would see similar to what we see.
now there is one cravat, and the cravat being, there is a primate that has excellent night vision. Very similar to the owl. The eyes are so big that they don't rotate in their sockets. Their whole head has to move. And that primate is the tiny tossier, very
Right.
tiny that hangs out in the front.
Of course, we don't know. We've never had that eyeball of a Bigfoot and looked and seen and dissected it to see what's going on in there. So we don't know. Maybe they're specialized. Maybe they have even more rods in their eye than we do. Are they trichromatic? Are they dichromatic? We don't know all that. So we just go off of what people say. They think they, are nocturnal, or they can do both day and night. It doesn't matter. So, but the vision itself is kind of, I think it's going to be more along the trichromatic field that they can see on both ends.
I personally believe that they have a much larger spectrum if the creature exists, and
Right.
and that's based off of that's just based off of personal feelings as of right now. But
Yeah.
a couple of things too, that when you talk about light gathering and what's going on in the dark, you also have to always take into account what's going on in the world around it. Meaning that if you're under canopy and you have no moon, there is no light under canopy, and the deer will just set. And both me and the wife, we're not meaning to, but we were walking within 10 yards of deer left and right one night, simply because we were in those conditions.
So that's what we're kind of dealing with when it comes to vision, okay? Because remember, we're trying to answer the question, can they see our trail cams at night? Is there something that's alerting them to the presence of the trail cam so that they are avoiding it? Are they avoiding it? Are they hearing it, seeing it? Well, that's what we're trying to answer. So all this is going towards that. And that's just a cute picture. That's all I threw that in there for. So which happens because when you have feeders out there, you bring them in. But so understanding trail cams. This is the part where I had to bring Bill in, and I was hoping Brent would be here too because he's used trail cams. Is these different types of trail cameras, motion activated. Now there's a wide variety of cellular trail cameras, infrared, time lapse. This whole thing, I started invisible flash. I don't know about these things, so maybe you can take us one by one through that, Trackway.
Okay, well, the different types of trail cameras all trail cameras are basically typed off of how we as humans view the flash. So you still have available out there, your white flash trail cameras. Those are few and far between. And with the white flash, you still have available out there, though they're extremely rare to find, the old 35 millimeter cameras. And then you transition from there, because around 2005, the introduction of LEDs was made, and you have the introduction of infrared LEDs. And then those are what we call those a red glow. So you have white flash, red glow. And that red glow is off the, I think it's nanometers of measurement, that illuminates. So we can see the red flash. So when the camera goes off, we see that red flash, no problem. Then you step up, and there's another category above it, which is, I believe it's 940 nanometer. I'm not sure what that stands for. And us as humans have an extremely hard time seeing that. It looks like a little red blip. And those are, if you see a little blip at all, we normally get categorized as a low glow. Okay, and then one step above that, which is complete and total no glow. It is not possible for the human eye to pick up that camera. So there is slight differences in between them. The security ones that a lot of people use, those are no glows. Red glows and so forth. Basically, really, it depends on how worried you are about people seeing them, in my estimation.
Those are the ones that can be set to motion detection or heat sensing?
Well, all trail cameras. Okay. So I'm going to hold this up. Where's the camera at? So this right here is called wait a minute, there we go. This right here is called a PIR. Okay. and that stands for passive infrared relay. And the passive means that it doesn't emit anything. It's truly passive. And all that's doing is it's got two sensors in it, and in between them, they're measuring the energy in the area and the differences, whether it be motion, but for the most part, it's always heat. So if you have a little bit of motion out there, you know, sunlight on leaves will make a little bit of a distinct heat change, you know, and that will trigger the camera. Now your garage doors, and stuff.
How far does that capture?
It depends upon the model and the manufacturer and different cameras. They love using feet, which isn't translatable to an old bow hunter like me. I do everything in yards, but you're seeing 100 yards, whereas opposed to like, turn this on again. Just like this big old thing right here, you know, this old camera here has an effective range of the PIR being right here of like 15 yards versus this little guy right here having an effective range of about 30, I'd say between 30 and 40 yards.
Oh.
So,
and so are the newer models all getting shrunk down? Are they all becoming smaller units in general?
Well,
it doesn't matter.
No, okay, so this was state of the art in 2005. Okay, all trail cameras were about this size. 2010, Bushnell created a camera called the Bushnell Trophy Cam, which was, you know, not much bigger than that. And the cameras have not been much bigger than that at all, but all operate off of where's my eject? But all operate off of smaller type batteries. I got my Dairy Queen here, so but the cameras are getting smaller and smaller. I don't want anybody seeing ice cream.
You're good. You're good. So now we know a lot of newer models now have the solar panel on there.
Yeah.
What is your feeling about those? You think those work pretty well?
I have one out in the field. Right now, you know, you want to have that on the south side of the tree. Right now, the way I got it set, it catches only the early morning sun. And it does all right. It does all right, but it still tends to chew through the battery. And the batteries are actually probably the bigger part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, like, those rechargeable lithium-ion batteries that go with those solar panels, yeah, they'll recharge it as long as, you know, you don't have it under canopy. If you have it out in the open field, probably work better. My situation, I have a canopy, so it doesn't work quite as well.
Yeah. Because, you know, I've always been under the assumption that when you have a trail camera, you want to try to conceal it. You want to try to hide it. So that would be kind of hard to need sun for your panel and to hide it at the same time.
Yeah. It's time of year type thing. If you're on the south side of the tree, you might be able to catch some more. And the solar panels that they're using are actually a lot higher efficiency than what you would think.
Uh-huh.
But no,
We're gonna show some pictures in a little bit of those.
The particular one I got, I'm not super crazy about. But like I said, using that's the trail cam you get. The secret cost of a trail cam is in the batteries, flat out.
Of having to purchase batteries every time.
How they perform. The little camera I showed you with the 6.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot of batteries.
Well, those are Energizer lithium. What do they call them? Energizer Ultimate Lithiums, and those aren't cheap anymore. They never were really cheap, but now you're paying almost $100 for 50 of them, as opposed to like $30 not that long ago.
Wow.
But that little camera on those particular batteries will last well over a year and a half.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I only have to go out there once I have that set up. Whereas that big camera I showed you,
Yeah.
it's got alkaline D cells in them, and they might make 2 weeks.
Oh, that's a big difference.
Yeah, so the alkalines, they don't work as efficiently, anywhere near as efficiently as the batteries, as the lithiums. Your rechargeable batteries that you get, the nickel batteries, I got ice cream on my chin. They don't work very well at all because they have a different energy pattern to them, so you really don't want to use them. You're seeing a lot of people using rechargeable lithium batteries now because of cost. But for me, when I put something out, I don't want to go back to it. I want to stay away from it as much as possible.
I see.
And these little cameras, I put cellular transmitters attaching to them. And the two of the setups that I showed you that are I shared with the drive. Those setups, both the cellular and the camera, will run well over a year and a half. I won't have to climb up the tree to get to them, where I have really started putting my trail cameras is up in the trees. But we were talking about motion activation, so that's pretty much the big thing. It's the PIR, and going back to the PIR, that passive infrared relay, you have over top of what's called a Fresnel's lens, and what that does is that increases the amount of area that that camera can watch without being triggered, or can effectively watch. So, and there's no lasers coming up, nothing.
Okay. All right. So, but of course they all have pros and cons. You're going to have to pick what's right for what you're using for: trigger speed, detection range, battery life. I'm sure you put the ones that don't have such a bigger battery life, closer to where you can get at it.
Yeah, if it's something that I'm going to go back to, like a feed station or something like that, or a mineral station, yeah, those type of areas I don't worry about too much as I do the trails and so forth. Or I had one trail that Mrs. Trackway absolutely refuses to ever walk with me again because it's basically cliffs. And getting down to it and getting back up from it, that's a trip that I don't want to make, and she won't make it at all anymore. I took her down there once, and after I got chewed out, she'd never go back.
How many cameras or trail cams do you have out at any one time?
Well, I used to run probably close to 30. But I was doing multiple things with them, and watching multiple properties, security. The other really major thing that I was doing was watching behavior patterns, specifically in whitetail, and I did that for 10 years until I got the information that I wanted out of them.
Right.
And now with the increase of the cost of batteries and everything, that's starting to go downhill. And I'm putting out. I've got the information I wanted, and
Right.
I'm not putting out the number of cameras that I used to. In fact, I'm considering starting to sell material off.
So, con wise, have you had a lot of issues with reliability where they've just quit on you quite often, or not?
Let's see. For the most part, the only one I ever had a lot of issues with it was one Bushnell. They had a 12-volt system. Never could get that thing would take 100 pictures, lose its mind, and then start back at zero. But I really haven't had any issues with them. Some cameras have had big issues, like that big camera that I showed you off the get-go. That had a manufacturer's defect on it. And you got to remember, today's cameras, like this big old thing right here, right? And its heyday was $250 to buy. Okay, now you can buy cameras about this size at Walmart for about $30. That outperform that big old thing right there. And back then they weren't so much a throwaway as they were, let's get them repaired. And there's my blizzard, by the way. Let's get them repaired. And you would find, and you still find them, a lot of repair boards on how to fix these big old things, because these were expensive. These were out of reach for the longest time for people, for the average person.
Right.
Now, like I said, now you can go to Walmart, pick yourself up I can't think what their brand name is, but it's basically Moultrie, and it's a type of Moultrie camera, which is also like this one. Okay, it's like this big thing, but it's a much smaller package, much more energy efficient, a lot quieter, and
So we're looking at, when you have pros, you're looking at, there are systems out there now that have continuous monitoring. You can leave them out there for extended periods of time. You have non-invasive type cameras that won't interfere with the habitat. They blend in well. You can have high resolution images and videos, and which is helpful. The better quality, the better. But con wise, you've got that limited coverage of some of those older models, and reliability, and of course the costs of some models are still quite high. But like he said, now you can go to Walmart and find these much better, smaller versions for more cost efficient prices. So in Bigfoot research, will it help or hinder? I don't know if we can quite answer that because we haven't. Everything we've caught, we have managed to dispute or won't believe in what it is. You know, I mean, dozens and dozens of supposed trail cam footage of a leg walking by or an arm or an eye. We always see those that bear photo with just the eye, or there's one where there's a cat eye and then they flip the picture so it looks completely different. Those are the ones, you know, that people take and then they kind of ruin it for everybody by putting out these hoaxes and stuff using these trail cam photos. Kevin Harder says, is Plot Watcher a time lapse still photo thing? Still a photo thing?
Well, what a plot watcher is just the camera is taking a photo every 30 seconds or whatever you designate it as. So there used to be, actually, I believe that was a camera company's name was Plot Watcher. And they had a specialized camera, kind of looked like a cigar case. And it would just sit there and take pictures every 5 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever you designated. And it would take the pictures during daylight hours, of course. It didn't have any nighttime capability. And you can imagine what going through that many pictures would be like, the monotony of it.
Oh my goodness.
So Plot Watcher had their own specialized program that you could download your photos to, and then that program would go through the photos and then it would pick out discrepancies. So now, whether or not they're still out there, I don't know.
Earlier, Red Creek Mike says, or what about the no glow cams, no infrared? I think he kind of covered a little bit of that.
So the no glow camera, you're going to pay slightly a little bit more. Like I said, it's no glow, so that means that humans cannot see them. And once again, it's all about, they're classified by the human ability to perceive. And a no glow camera, which is what I usually go for because I don't want anything to see the glow, are people. Which you do usually sacrifice a little bit with that no glow camera. A true no glow is a little bit of a tiny bit of definition. You know, you kind of like, if you think about it, you know, it's like taking a camera flash and then putting a filter in front of it. So you're going to use that camera flash without a filter, and then you're going to take another picture with it immediately with a filter over top of it, and you get a little slight difference. And that's really what you lose with the no glow. But for the purposes that I've used them for, videos, stuff like that, I don't notice that much of a difference. But you know that that does bring up something that I don't know if we're going to be talking about a little bit later, and that's trigger speed. You might have missed that.
Yeah, I did. Well, I mentioned it briefly, but let me get this question real quick. Do we have any credible trail cam footage? I'm not saying there isn't any. I just can't think of any.
There are. It depends on who you are or how you view it or whatever. I believe there is, personally.
Which is
Yeah.
true. Everybody's going to have their own opinion on that. Some are going to like it, some aren't. Some will always find fault in something, you know.
And
Or,
when preparing argumentation for or against the photo, um, I think I got argumentation for, at least I got some really good argumentation for a couple photos. But that's the bottom line of it. You've got to kind of watch. There's when you're looking at trail camera photos, um, and you see something that's suspect. How you properly run through the gambit of what all it could be, what all it could not be. Um, and that's very important. You really do not want, in my estimation, to drop back and say, to me, it looks like, or I see, or because what's happening there is that now you're queuing up, and I hate, for as difficult as it is to believe, when you start saying that, you are actually exercising your pareidolia process. Pareidolia is a process. It's not really an end result. Matrixing, interpolation, stuff like that. That's
mm-hmm.
an end result. Um, but no, you really don't want to, I see this, I see that, or whatever. What you want to do is you want to take the information that you can glean out of from a picture and present, argumentation for it. So yeah, I think there are um, several good trail cam photos out there. I think you'd be surprised sometimes putting on a trail camera.
Mm-hmm.
What might be watching you when you're putting it out?
Interesting.
And yeah,
I don't want anything watching me at all. Um, okay, so what did I miss earlier? We talked about a little bit of the various features of the trail cams, and such as resolution and then trigger speed. Does that make a big
yes,
difference?
yes, it does. Okay, so and the reason why I say that is you go out, you buy a camera, and you go out, you're looking at a trail camera. Which one do I buy? Which one do I buy? And you're going to see um, that terminology, trigger speed, and that is how fast the camera comes out of sleep to wake up and actually take the photo. So your trail camera is broken down really into three separate circuits. You have the active circuit, which it engages the camera, engages the illuminators, it engages the writing process on the SD card, um, all that, and then the next circuit is the regen recovery circuit, which rebuilds, um, refills up, the insides, however you want to say it, capacitors and whatnot. And then your
Uh-huh.
very last circuit is that PIR circuit, or the trigger circuit. And that trigger circuit just sips power. That's what makes trail cameras just stay out there for as long as they do. It's sitting there with a tiny straw just sipping power. But when that PIR gets triggered, right, how fast it wakes up the camera to do its job is what's called trigger speed. And so you get to turn this back on. You get to this little guy here, right? This little guy's got a trigger speed of like 0.7 seconds. All right. And there's a kicker for photo. Video's different. Okay. Whereas this big honking thing has a trigger speed of almost, I believe it's 0.15 to almost 2 seconds for a photo. Okay.
Hmm.
So, and the reason why that's important is because, how quickly something leaves your target area. You can completely miss it. And again, what you're going to see though is you're going to see that faster trigger speed. When this PIR wakes up the rest of this camera, all right, that's the trigger speed just for pictures. Now, when it goes to video, what you often find out is that video takes longer to wake up. So this particular camera here, I'm not quite certain what the speed is. Oh, hang on.
Oops. I got you, Grass. I have got 2 chats open right now. So I'm watching live, and I'm backed up, and then I have starred questions. I'm got you guys, okay? It's just I have to keep track of where I'm at because I'm doing this by myself. I don't have somebody here helping me with the chat. So if anybody out there wants the job, let me know and you can come on and help me with the chat during my shows because they're getting bigger, which is a good thing. So I see your questions there, Kaiju, and I've got them starred, and
Sorry, my
I'll
heater
bring
kicked
them in
on.
at the appropriate time. Okay, what was that, Track?
Sorry about that. My heater kicked on. Like I said, I got to do
Oh
repair.
yeah, you told me. Yeah, you told me about that.
I had to run and shut it off. Um, but anyhow, that becomes an issue when it goes to video. Now, there's another issue too that we didn't bring up, and I'll bring up right now, and it has to do with um, the camera or that PIR's trigger angle and the camera's field of view. Because oftentimes manufacturers make that PIR angle larger than the field of view, and they do that on purpose. So if something's coming in, you know, from the left or right, it's the camera's waking up and it's taking a picture. I think that's kind of detrimental because the camera that actually, in my estimation, has taken some of the more credible photos out there has a significantly smaller PIR to camera angle. The trigger angle is well within the field of view.
This is a lot of information.
And it's hard to convey too, because it's like you know.
Well, you've learned all this, over your research, your long time in the field. You've learned all this, and I don't want to take that much time. I just want you to tell me use this one because of this.
Yeah, it's
So,
data. I mean, we can get into the differences between, you talk about translating the photo once you get it, the differences between near and far, and what the differences are there. Birds are a huge one.
uh-huh.
I mean, there is actually a ton of information. And I was kind of hoping, I was kind of dreading doing a video on that because I've been meaning to do it. And I was like, oh, it's going to take forever. I just.
Well, let's get to a question real quick from Kaiju. Has he ever experienced any strange anomalies with the trail cam and then they return to normal?
Whiteouts or blackouts and they turn to normal. Okay, so the answer to that question is, well, normally a whiteout is more prone to happen than a blackout. So, a whiteout is when you have something so close to the camera that it's returning 100% of that IR flash. And so that's what causes a whiteout. And then when it leaves the area, the camera comes back. So, and that could be a litany of things out there. Deer, raccoons, anything. Now the blackout condition, that usually happens when there's, I want to say it's fog or rain. more likely when there's a heavy fog, it'll black out, and then it'll return whenever the fog moves off. Oh,
Kaiju also wants to know what your thoughts are on plot watchers. Have you used them before?
well, most of your cameras now have a plot watcher mode. That little one that I kept showing has a plot watcher
Oh,
mode.
uh-huh.
A very affordable camera out there on the market, which is a Stealth Cam G42NG. That has a plot watching program to it. I've used plot watching just a couple times, particularly for watching main roads, but I really haven't been deploying my trail cameras in a way to capture. Don't get me wrong, because I'm going to try and say this correctly. I haven't been deploying my cameras in a way that was to capture anything outside of deer. The only other thing it was meant to capture was people, because I had 3 cameras stolen, so then 3 or 4 cameras stolen. So I did some actions and
Right.
to run that, and haven't had an issue since.
Red Creek says, what about a Spartan?
So Spartan is a cellular trail camera. It's a brand, and I believe Spartan used to run through Verizon. And I don't, brand-wise, brand specifically, I can't really give you a whole lot of different information on them. If you want a lot of information on trail cameras, the place to go is called Trailcampro.com. And they do a lot of comparisons and testing. And it used to be back in the day, they would have a whole bunch of different trail cameras that they tested and they ran against, and they have their standard testing procedures as far as what they like and what they don't like, and then their grading system. And I'll be the first one to tell you that when I buy a trail camera, that usually takes me over a month of research before I purchase one. There's a lot. It should
So
be
it's
a
going to
simple
be a
process.
little bit different for me. I'm just going to throw it up there and turn it on, which I'm sure a lot of people do.
Yep.
I'm not the type to want to know how everything works or what's working. I just want it to put up there. I want it to take pictures when something walks by or video.
Yeah. And we're
either
doing now is,
but I do know I need to get some, and I'm gonna look up Marketplace here pretty soon and see if there's anybody giving any up for a cheap price for now. And my main concern is to have one pointed at me at my camp. After what happened on Mount St. Helens, I want something pointed at me. So that is going to be a priority.
And that's something I tell people is, we, like fishing equipment, buy within your budget and whatnot. Where I was at is that I'm buying specifically for a scenario.
Right.
I'm buying because I want to maximize, this cliff face that I'm freaking walking down. Don't want to ever walk back down it again unless I absolutely have to.
Oops. Dang it. I don't know where it disappeared. So, Meg Gem, hey, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. Hopefully we get to meet you in one of our Spill the Tea members only chats, which I'll probably have one this coming week. So hopefully you can be there. Thanks again. Now let me get back over here. Oops. And what's the next comment we've got? Oops, put you back up there again. Kaiju says maybe ask if he's ever captured anything strange on the camera. They want to know of crazy stuff.
Is yes.
Yes.
And I have yeah, the answer is yes. I haven't really been pushing or trying to put it out because I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is myself.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple times.
I've seen some of your stuff, so it is weird. There's some weird stuff, but
a lot of times I'll do a full. If I go out and I collect them, I'll do a dump of captures, and you can just sit there and watch through the captures. And I'll tell you flat out if I think I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. I don't know what this is. I'm pretty good. I think, right now, you see, you start picking up things, these flying square blocks around, or, those are little owls. Those are your tiny pygmy owls. Your saw-whits, what's the other one? Your screech owls. They look like little flying blocks in the night. In that share file, there's one in there that is pretty trippy to look at. But once again, the identity is known as to what it is.
Right. Jen says, say you got something, who would be vetting it? Seeing no one can agree on the things. You're vetting your own stuff. In my opinion, what you're doing is you're creating your investigation. You have data, and you're collecting all that data for when something does happen. That stuff's going to be really, really important later on. So it's real important to be able to archive and keep your stuff organized. And maybe that important stuff you do run into that you think is something, that you keep that safe, and you never know.
Yeah, there's the stuff that I've had that I haven't really been able to try and figure out. I usually lean on Matt Larson's shoulder to see what tools he has to help me out. And as of right now, some of the objects are still just don't have an answer for it. And I just haven't been. Usually I am of the mindset that we keep talking about who do you send this to, who do you send that to, or whatever. You get it vetted, and you can wait. You send something out to get it vetted, you may get it back tomorrow, you may get it back next week, you may not get it back for 10 years. And then you got to play the reality game, because the reality game is, okay, you've got something, do you want to sit on it trying to get it vetted, or do you want to put it out there knowing that the reality of it is you may not live 20 years to ever see it vetted,
Right.
And that is a very that is a very real situation, trying to figure that out.
I mean, you spend hours and hours of listening to all your audio and looking at your video and putting all that information into your programs and stuff to help you point out certain anomalies. But that's a lot of stuff. It takes even longer to view and go through audio and video than it does to actually do it, the first time.
Reviewing audio, reviewing photos or whatever is a multi-pass process. Excuse me, sorry. As far as I'm concerned, because whenever I go through anything, there's just the quick first. Okay, mark it. And I never go through anything immediately after I've captured it. Never. I want to walk away from it. I want that moment left behind me. I don't want to think about it for a few days. Then I want to start going back through and just going through, marking stuff I find, and going through and then highlighting the stuff that's of interest, whether it's video, audio, or whatever it is. Highlight that, go back through, check it out. Okay, wait a minute. This is days later. The moment I thought it was something else. Well, here it's, actually it's a dog. So that's worthless. So, it's a multi-pass, and it's like a giant snow cone process. You might start off with having a book, 3 pages written down of time hacks to go back through, but by the time you're down to like 2 listening points or 2 video points. And that's very long.
That's a long time. That's still a lot of time. For sure. Kevin Harder, what about that famous shot of the back of the gray-haired thing standing in front of the loquat tree? Some say it's fake. I believe it's fake. I believe it's a photo that was taken. Well, that photo is the infamous Melissa Hovey photo, is the one you're referring to. And actually, Phil Poling from Para Breakdown actually went to court over that photo because she claimed it was hers, and there was a big dispute about it. But many people, she claimed it was hers, copyrighted, whatever, but a guy gave her that photo. So crazy, that whole story on that. But I believe that photo was originally taken from the movie Claude. Okay, the Bigfoot movie called Claude, because I do have photos of the front of Bigfoot, post-production photos, and the suit seems to match up as well as the background to that actual photo. I do not have actual proof or anything about that. I don't have anybody's statements or any kind of receipts other than the other photos in comparison to that one, but I'm convinced that that's an old Claude. Now, Melissa Hovey will say 100% that it is not. So take that for whatever it's worth. I do not believe it's a Bigfoot, though, for sure. And I do have it. I don't have it queued up tonight, and it would take me way too long to pull that up right now. But remind me, and I'll send it to you, because I do have that, Kevin. And I'm going to shoot down. Well, here's another one. Has Trackway ever had bear or other animal tamper with his cameras or humans? And you said you have.
Yeah, I mean, humans have. So here's the thing: when you get a trail camera, the trail camera directions are going to tell you to put that strap on the tree around 2 to 3 feet above ground, and the very first thing that I do is I throw that strap away, and I replace it with a camouflage 550 cord, parachute cord, because that strap is a 360 degree tell to human beings that there's a trail camera in the area. When people walk, we tend to walk looking in that 2 to 3 foot zone, so we're looking for anything that we might trip over and bust our noggins on. And that's how we usually humans spot the trail cameras. Now, they made security boxes back then, and the security boxes weren't all that good. And when you get to that time of year, September and October, when you have the illegal harvest of ginseng going on in your area, those guys, if they spot a camera, they'll take it. They're gone with it, like right now. And if they were in those boxes back then, they would use their tools to pry those boxes open and steal the trail cameras. And that's what happened to 4 of ours.
Oh,
Now,
man.
what they've done now is they've made a more integrated box. It's called a cam lock box, bare box cam lock box, and this thing cam locks 2 shells together around the camera. And from there, when I use those, I don't just single lock them. I also double lock them. I run a lock down the bottom, and then I run a second lock, which gets to be a pain in the butt because now you're talking about buying extra locks, you're buying security boxes.
Oh my God, it's unending, unending.
People just won't, you know, they won't leave your stuff alone. They're not supposed to be in there. You know, they're in there, you know, harvesting ginseng, you know, as much as they can because it's ridiculously how worth is. And it's a federal crime if they get caught. So that's normally when you see those taken away. Now, since then, you know, I've used the cam lock boxes, I've double locked them, and now I carry what's called a climbing stick. I wear a climbing harness, and I climb up a climbing stick, and I put the cameras now about 8 to 10 feet up in the air, and aim them down. And people never see those. But
yeah,
for Tristan, I had one trail camera that I went down, I checked, I climbed up. I needed either batteries or an SD card for. I couldn't remember. So I just closed it up and climbed back down, and it was in a tree. And we left, and I came back a week or 2 later or whatever. And that camera had been snapped in half.
what?
It had been snapped diagonally. Someone had snapped it across the hinges. I still found both halves. And there was no SD card in it. They didn't have a spare. We found all the batteries, even though I'd seen a bear in that area the year before, and I suspected it was a bear. All the batteries are there, so it wasn't a bear. There was no teeth marks. It literally looked like something grabbed a hold of it and ripped it into 2 pieces of half, and left it hanging there.
Wow.
We jump a couple years later. I think it might have been that year or the following year. That's when we found the Trackway. And guess where that Trackway went?
Where?
It went past that trail cam's location. And we had found, it was really late. The sun had gotten down, and I had been looking for tracks. I wasn't saying nothing to nobody because we was in there, we was working on feeders and stuff. I wasn't saying nothing about this. And I stepped out, and I had driven my truck back in the woods. And I looked right down at the right side passenger side of my truck, and there's a footprint right there. So I thought my nephew who's with me, and he's like, well, what the heck? And we were at that magical time of day going into night, and these footprints popped. It was, there's a right, there's a left, there's a right, and it's getting dark quick. And I got super excited. I thought, well, whatever went down this trail went past that trail camera. That's down there, that broken one that had been replaced. And that, if anything went down there, the length of stride was beyond normal humans. That trail cam would get it, and nothing was on the trail camera. So, and
Wow.
the 3D print that we also captured, that we did somewhere close to there, wasn't that far away from the camera either. And where you flip it, I flipped the image upside down, and you see the toes, and you see the compression. That was close by there too. So hopefully that answers this question.
I've got Central Florida Bigfoot Matt Larson's trail cam footage from several of his short clips. He wanted to be here. He was traveling today. He's taking a load up to Kentucky. So I have his permission. He sent me over a bunch of stuff to show you guys. And oops, this one. And I'm going to play you a few things he has captured on his I wonder if it'll keep on going. Will it keep rolling? No.
That's his bobcat.
That's his bobcat. He sent me a couple of different ones. I mean, I can't do that. It's not going to let me. I have to do it from this mode. Okay, here's the next one. Look at the legs on that owl.
Mm-hmm.
So crazy. I love those legs. Oh God, that's not what I wanted to do. Hold on. There we go. Come on. Oh. There's the pig rubbing his butt.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my list?
That's like a huge hog right there. That's like a 300-pounder,
Yeah.
I believe.
And then he has one. I love that one where it's scratching its claws.
You know, and the thing about the Florida bobcats, which I find interesting, we get up here in Ohio, we get very bright yellowish type bobcats, but down there in Florida, you'll get this deeper color, and actually they'll get to a point to where they look their fur will actually turn black.
They blend in really well, for sure.
They are amazing creatures. I don't want to mess with one. They are fully capable of taking down a full-grown mule deer. There's video after video of them doing that. So yeah, as a human being, no thank you.
And he wanted me to show you this one because he wanted me to make it clear to everybody that it's super important that when you put out a trail cam, that you you go in front of it. That way you have an established measurement to go off of, because you know your height, and if anything does go there, yeah, you have something to compare it to.
Because that's what, you know, that's one item that I kind of been, and Jen knows about it from West Virginia. We do have a picture from West Virginia that simply because I don't have a before, after, or secondary picture out of the camera from it, that I just been kind of sitting on it. So, but yeah, that's because, you know, you really need that secondary piece of information. You know, you really want to quantify it.
This next little section was out of Popular Mechanics best trail cameras of the year. Now, Bill doesn't agree with that because he feels that it's not really based off of what hunters really would use. It's so we're going to go through these real fast, but it's best overall came in with Tor 2Guard 4K 48 MP Wi-Fi trail camera. And that's 96. I found that at $96.99 at Walmart. this best budget for $35.99, which I think is a pretty good deal there. It is an infrared mini trail cam. Look how small that is in the hand, just in the palm of the hand.
That's about half the size of the little one I was showing.
Wow. And I don't know, I would go cheaper only because if it does get stolen, at least you're not at a, $200 loss. Because this one is $249.95. This shows it came up as best features, and it's a Bog Blood Moon infrared game camera. And best splurge, the Bushnell Cellucor Live Cellular Trail Cam, which is $299. And of course, then you have to purchase the cell line, right? You have to
purchase the plan
the plan.
sometimes. I have
Yeah.
I have my Spy Point account, so I have my purchase Spy Point plan. And then for each camera, I get like $250 free for I think each camera, but depending on how I'm using them, then I can
Uh-huh.
I can purchase per tier for each individual camera and just kind of keep it as how I use them.
And do they send you those alerts like when one goes off? Does it take photos or video or whatever you set it to?
Mine's just set to for photo because I don't use video very much. The reason being is video eats battery,
Oh,
and cellular eats battery, and for me, one of the biggest things I don't want to do is go into an area more than I have to.
right.
So I try to take, photo burst modes. I've been very happy with doing that. Um, I've caught probably one of the most rarest things in trail cam photos, and that's actually a great horned owl in flight, which it kind of resembles the snitch from Harry Potter.
No,
You know,
really.
I got 3 photos of it gliding through frame. I've been very happy with that and how that goes. Now, the thing with video, though, if you have questions, the video will usually give you the answer. But
Mm,
but on the other flip side of that, I do have a couple cameras out there that are on solely on video, and those cameras that are on videos have given me some of the most challenging um, identifications that
yeah.
I haven't quite identified yet.
Wow. And this last one is just best cellular here. Um, a Moultrie Mobile Edge Cellular Trail Cam. And of course, you have to do your own homework, to what you need it for, what your goal is. Um, I'm not really going to be leaving anything out long term. My my use would just be for when I'm there. One on me, one in a couple of different areas around where I'm going to be hiking at to leave for my 2 or 3 days that I'm out there, camping. So it's a little bit different. Um, I'm going to do it
Um,
so where I think I'm going to do individual SD cards per day. I'm not gonna overrun. I know an SD card can hold a lot, but I
yeah.
just wanna keep it ordered. Since I'm not gonna be use it like, Bill does, it'll be easier for me to keep track of, okay, this SD card was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's it, you know?
And you
And
want to watch the traps there too, because as I told you, there's a reason why I'm not so big on those,
mhm.
and that have to do with the false advertisement. It's not really false advertisement, but in a way, it's not a very truthful advertisement.
Uh-huh.
Um, and that has to
Right.
do with that pixel rating.
You sent this bowhunter.com also had let me see if I can make that bigger. I cannot. That's just
This
what
year.
it is. It has this year's new trail cameras for 2024. And all these links and everything that I'm showing are going to be down in the description, okay? So I've got the bowhunter.com down there, and I have whoa, almost dropped everything. What did I put down there? Hold on, bringing up my sticky note. I've got trailcampro.com, I've got deerlab.com, popularmechanics.com, and thebowhunter.com, all in the description below. So you can find those. So there's a lot of information out there. Whoa, look at that antenna. Dang.
Yeah. Yeah. And when my recommendation, if you're using trail cams out there, you want to not get caught with the you don't want to get yourself caught up in the larger megapixel is better thing, because truthfully almost all trail cameras out there use the same 3 to 4 megapixel camera, and then they use the interpolation process program, which adds pixels to the picture to blow them up to 36 megapixels or 18 megapixels. If you were going to actually buy a camera with a 36 megapixel sensor in it, you're going to be paying over $1,000 easily. Just look at the Sony cameras.
Yeah.
So, and then you get to what the heck is that one company? They never did do that. They never went higher. They're highly expensive. They're $600 a pop, but they put their money into optics.
Oh.
And I can't think of what their name is. Reconics. All their money went in. They put their money into the optics. So now I don't have any $600 Reconics. What I do is if I find particular models I like, I'll go after them on eBay and get them cheaper. Then I'll add that little transmitter to them. Okay. And rather than paying for a cellular camera, I have to go back out in the woods every 3 months to change batteries in. I put those two together. I'm running off a 16 AA premium lithium batteries, and I don't have to go back to that camera again for over a year and a half. It'll send me pictures, but I don't have to go back to the camera.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
That's how I deal with it. I kind of am not taking. I've bought one cellular trail camera so far, and it with the solar panel on it. Like I said, I haven't been extremely happy with it. So,
Wow. Any questions out there that I missed? Let me see. Trackway mentioned this earlier, but does he think Sasquatch are watching people put up equipment?
okay. The reason why I'm going to say this, if you're in an area where you suspect there's actually something going on, I am of the opinion now that they're watching you go in and they're watching you put it up. When we was in West Virginia, when I would put out audio recorders and I would leave the area, something almost every time, camcorder, and I think it happened several times with the audio recorder, something investigated the audio recorder or the camcorder when I left. You can physically hear it come up to the recorders. You can hear it sniffing, huffing, breathing, whatnot. So yeah, I am of the opinion that when you're out there and you're putting something up, you're in their you're basically in their house, and they know when you're coming, and they're watching, and they will check out whatever you're doing the moment you leave, especially if you leave something behind. That is just solely based on, recordings, stuff
Yeah.
like that, and that's solely opinion, because I don't know what's doing it. It could be deer, for crying out loud. It could be raccoons, but it just strikes me as very odd.
Chance Lambert says, which trail cams do you suggest work best? Not for protection, but capturing a Sasquatch.
Well, I hate saying this, but that big old trail camera that I showed you,
Yeah.
yeah. So, uh, 3 of the best images for subject capture that I've seen have been taken with that old camera. And
Uh,
the reason why I think that is number one, that camera was highly unreliable. All right. Number two, you cannot set it like today's cameras. So people get today's cameras, what they do is they don't want to miss anything. So they set them up to take the maximum amount of pictures with the smallest amount of delay. And next thing you know, you've got a camera out there in the woods making a rave. You know what I'm saying? You got this light fest going on. Dun, 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 dun. The only thing that's missing is the music. Whereas that old camera, like, oh yeah, and the newer cameras with that trigger angle being greater than the um, greater than the FOC of the camera itself. Um, I have reasons to suspect that something is testing the outer limits of that. They'll come up, trigger it, they'll see the flash, and then back off. I have a couple captures that off a certain trail camera that has me very suspicious. But that old camera that I showed, it had such a narrow trigger that they added a laser to it. It was called on this side of the Rockies or the Mississippi. It was called the Digicam 4.0, 6.0, 9.0. On the other side of the Rockies, it was known as did I say Digicam already? Because Digicam was the west side. This side was the Game Spy. It was known as the Game Spy 4.0, 5.0, 6.0 on this side. It was marketed two different ways. But anyhow, that trigger on that was so narrow that they added a laser to it. And they suggested flat out on the box that this camera is best used on top of like game feeders, feed sites, stuff like that. You really didn't want to put that on trail or cross trail. So what I tell people now is that, you take a new camera, take a piece of cardboard and just take that cardboard over and narrow that PIR, make it smaller. Okay.
Oh.
Get that trigger angle within the camera range. Now there is a camera on market right now that has a trigger angle that is smaller than the camera field of view. Those are the ones that Matt's using, but I don't know how small. And those particular images that I see, the suspect ones that I've seen, I think the reason why those worked is because you couldn't set them up to constantly take a rave photos. I think you want to put in that over minute, 2 minute, 3 minute delay, simply because you don't want to overlight up the woods. You want that very small trigger angle. So if something's testing for trigger angles, they're already in the camera field of view when the camera goes off. You can modify it with just a piece of tape. Let's see if I got tape here. No, I don't. I'm just taking a piece of tape and just covering up that PIR
Yeah.
just a little bit.
I think I've heard you mention that before.
And then if you really, really want to, on some cameras, you can shut off the night function altogether. And I think that's a viable option. Shutting off the night function altogether. Or, if you want to tape over the illuminators, tape over the illuminators and use it as a recording device. But you got to, trail cameras don't have the best microphones. You got pretty crappy microphones in them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like a cell phone. Cell phones are astronomical recording devices on them. So,
yeah.
hopefully that answered the question.
Rave plus cooking bacon, not naked.
Because
that came from the Trackway.
Cooking bacon, not naked.
Oh, and of course, Max had to say, "You had me at naked heathens."
Naked heathens.
Oh gosh. So I'm gonna bring this trail cam chat to a close so we can move on with some other stuff. If you have any other questions, oh God, I put Trackway's channel down in the description. Please be sure to go over there and hit him up for a sub and ask your questions over there. He's the trail cam genius. So
I will be doing a more in-depth thing just on trail cameras here pretty soon. I'm going to kind of put it out now. I've been kind of avoiding this topic because when I'm done with it, I'm probably going to change channel format. And
gotcha.
Because we're going to reach that point of this is the point of contention. That's one of the things that really got me started was the trail cam talk, and I was like, oh wait, we got to do something about this. And once that's over, we'll probably format change.
Right. Well, there was questions also about trail cam use. There are actual during hunting season, you can't even use trail cams in Nevada or Arizona. It's outlawed. It's banned.
Yes, because of what happens out there is they hunt over watering holes, and so you'll get 100 people with 100 trail cameras on a watering hole, and it's causing specific problems. Some hunting clubs you get into, okay, so Boone and Crockett, which is, I shot this gigantic monster buck or whatever, I'm going to get you. And Boone and Crockett, my name will be forever memorized in a book because of it until they find out you use cellular trail cameras, and then they'll pull your name right out of it. Hope and Young's the same thing. I don't think they're an unfair advantage. Maybe for rifle hunters. I'm a bow hunter. Bows are getting better and better every day, but there's no way you're going to move. But in Ohio in the fall, you unless it's raining, you are not going anywhere without getting busted.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't seem quite fair.
In the sense of fair chase, Betty Roosevelt, fair chase. If you're using them to bounce stand to stand to stand, or use them as an unfair advantage, that absolutely is correct. It's probably not fair chase. But in my case, my argument is that there's no way I can use them in such a manner for what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, Bill, it's time to move on. We gotta get going. We got about 20 minutes till the show ends. So I got a lot of stuff.
What you got? Jim, you heard them. Said, show me what you got.
All right. So today, again, this picture, oldie, it's come out again out there on Facebook. And this picture was recently played on a show. I'm not going to say the name right now because I haven't talked to him, but saying that his friend took this picture, but it is not. This picture has been around since 2017. In 2018, Tom Powell had the guy confess to wearing the suit in regards to that picture. So just be aware, you know, they're recycling stuff out there, and don't take it. Do your investigation. It took me all of 30 seconds to go back, drop the photo into Google Images, and it posted up. Of course, I knew it was there already, but for you all to do that. So please be aware of that. This is another one. Again, I've had this photo on my show over 2 years ago. I had this picture up there, and was invited to this group. I went in, they had this photo, everybody calling it the best photo out there. They could see the muscles, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, wait, that's the Boone, North Carolina Bigfoot hoax. And I pulled up all my stuff, a slide I already even had ready because I had done the show before on it, pulled it up and posted it saying, nope, this was discovered back, in 2018. We've got the guy walked right up to it. They have pictures of it, blah, blah, blah. And still, the poster says he doesn't believe the photos. The photos of the guy next to it. He says they don't look real. They're photoshopped. I had a whole conversation with this guy, and I mean, it was nice. We weren't mean to each other, either one of us. We were cordial in our conversation, but he doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe that those photos were actually disputed that whole claim. So that it was a hoax. And that's what we're going to run into. People want to believe what they want to believe in. And unfortunately, I'll probably have to leave this group because it was just full of nonsense. This photo as well. This was this was a new place I went to, British Columbia Sasquatch. And they had this photo up there, a lady saying, amazing, look at these, and blah, blah, blah. And they were talking about the boobs. And I'm like, you guys do realize that is a wax at the waxworks, right? And I had to go to the site, pull it up, their photo, to prove it to them because they didn't. I go, look at the background. It's a fake background. It's a fake drop. And they still didn't believe it. They still didn't believe that. Okay. I thought the chat, Bat Mom said the chat stopped. I think it's still going. So be aware, that photo's actually been around for a long time as well. And again, drop it into Google Images and see where it takes you because it goes all over. And here's another one. Now, this one right here has been around. However, it does have a backstory. And it was kind of interesting because I wanted to see where the backstory came from because I thought it was one of these AI images or CGI from several years ago. I wasn't sure. I know I had seen it around, but I had never heard the backstory. And according to whoever, if they made it up or if it really came with this, is that this photo was taken in 1968, around the time Patterson Gimlin, right, in 67. But in 68, a gentleman by the name of Thomas Anderson was in Bluff Creek. He was a nature photographer and he took this photo. Supposedly he had new equipment, motion activated cameras. So tell me this, were there motion activated cameras in 1968? I don't know. I didn't get that far.
Not really.
I didn't
I don't
think
believe
so. So
it.
that's when the story started to kind of fall apart for me. But
You
at the same time, I
there was
still wanted to
there was
find out about what. Go ahead.
there wasn't what you would consider a motion activated camera. There was a tripwire camera. So the
Mm,
camera basically used a tripwire to activate it.
okay. Um, well, I was interested in this whole Thomas Anderson, so I did a little bit of search on him. I did find I found several Thomas Andersons, kind of a common name, but I did find one that was a nature photographer, and would his age would put him right at the exact age or time frame that we're talking about. The only thing is that I couldn't connect him to California. I only connected him to Ohio from the 80s on, and this happened in the 70s, and I couldn't backtrack anything prior into the 70s to where he was at. And he's passed on because actually I found an obituary. So we don't know. I don't know if this is real or not. It's my opinion that it's probably something that's been created. But anyway, I did try to do a little bit of a search on it. But as a funny note, during my search, okay, there was a lot. This photo came up all over the place. Number one, Reddit, but nobody had answers. I tracked down all the YouTube people using it in YouTube, best Bigfoot picture ever type stuff. But on one of them, it linked me, that photo on the left linked me over to Project Cryptid. That's Danny Staton. And it links to one of Danny's videos that he had up of Sonny Vader's, his Bigfoot, his big hairy monster, Bigfoot. So I thought that was kind of hilarious that actual photo linked to Danny Staton's channel. Danny, did you make it up? Did you create that? Is Danny here? So there's that one. That's questionable. Now, on the left, you're going to see a photo of somebody saying that this is from Google Earth near Bluff Creek, and it looks like a family out heading towards Mosquito Lake. And if you look at the picture, you can see, I see what they're saying is looking like Bigfoot's walking, but it's just the tips of the burned trees because it had a fire. And I did verify this, that in 1920, no, 2022, they had a fire in that area. But when I went on to Google Earth, I went to Google Earth, I didn't find any burned areas to verify the road so I could try to locate that area on my own. And it's because that image was from 2019 to present is what it said. So there's no way for me to verify that photo. But that's what you would do. Well, that's what I would do. To verify a photo is to take it that far, to check up on these things, to see, just so I could have proof. I was hoping to prove that, yeah, it was just trees, have a better zoom in a different area, but it can't happen like that all the time. Danny Staton chance. Danny has many. How many channels does Danny have? Like 25? I don't know. Anyway,
Danny
so
Staton, also a cartoon character's name. You know that, right?
yeah, go ahead. Is a cartoon character? What?
Yeah, Cartoon Network. I had kids who used to watch this. Danny Staton. He had ghost powers.
Oh, that was I know what you're talking about. That wasn't Danny Staton.
For sure.
Somebody in the chat will know. Anyway, so there's that one that I was trying to prove. And let's do a little bit of the news. So this week, actually, these were from last week because we ran over last week in our discussion, but these were kind of interesting. This one here is from Salina, Ohio. I just thought it was so cool. Avid hunters and longtime legend might consider a trip to Western Ohio to see a close alternative. Bear Hollow, an Indiana-based chainsaw sculpture company, worked for numerous days at the Mercer County Fairgrounds in Salina to create a giant that resembles a Sasquatch. And I just thought it was so cool the way they did that. That would be quite the sight for sure. Look at those hands. Look at the full-on logs. It reminds me of somebody said that Bigfoot get that big. I'm sure some of you know who I'm talking about.
The next event they're planning out in Mercer County is Burning Man 2.0.
Is it?
Yeah, when they light that Bigfoot on fire.
And next we another one. There was another one in Kinsley, Kansas. Bigfoot was spotted in Kansas, sort of. Coyote Welding LLC is a metal fabricator located in Kinsley, Kansas. One of their welders, Daniel Fagan, created a nearly 12-foot tall Bigfoot statue and put it on display outside of Coyote Welding. The company shared this photo on Wednesday. And they say if you're driving through town, be sure to drive by the shop and see Daniel's newest creation. You can't miss it. I thought it looked really cool. I like how he shaped the head.
Sparky.
Wonder how heavy that thing is. Looks heavy to me. Okay, where are we at? We have 6 minutes. I am gonna get there. One moment, everybody. Okay. So now what we have on Bigfoot books. Oh, I didn't get my Bigfoot book, but it's right here. So as I was strolling through Five Below, I found that book right there. And I thought, oh, it's interesting. I'll just grab it. $5, for my collection. But it's actually not bad. It is from an English writer, Rupert Matthews. But if I was to do a book, it would be really similar to this. It is a little bit biased on some of the stuff. I've only read half through and then I skimmed through the rest. But it's not a bad book, and I suggest you go and find you one for your library since it's affordable. How was told by Stephen Strufert, he listed it on one of his posts that it actually used to be Sasquatch instead of Bigfoot, and that now supposedly the Bigfoot on the left is the original. It's so weird. They have all these different fronts. So if you find the Bigfoot on the left, see how it's even a different Bigfoot in there. That's the original, and I guess it's quite rare. And people actually look for that for their library. But I have the one on the right, which is the cheapo version. But it still has a lot of good photos and stuff in it. So it's a good catch if you happen to go over there and see it. You might want to pick one of those up for yourself. I am going to be doing a review on Sasquatch Sunset here. Probably tomorrow. I'll start working on that. And you'll find out if I liked it or not. I wasn't impressed. It had potential, but I'm going to put it all into my review. So be on the lookout for that coming here pretty soon. And I don't want to discourage anybody from going to see it, but I am going to say don't take your kids.
Oh,
That's what I'm going to say. Don't take your kids. I had my 17-year-old and a 23-year-old with me and another kid. And yeah, I wish I hadn't taken them. So,
that bad, huh?
yeah, it's pretty bad.
I heard it was pretty gross.
It had a lot of potential. Okay, it had tons of potential. I just was hoping it was going to be funnier, and I wish they had taken it in that direction. So there you go. That is that coming up, and I have an update on Save the Eggs. Anybody who went back and saw a little video I put out called "Welcome to El Paso." On the end of that video, I tagged on these little dove eggs that I found on the crack of my truck. And because I'm sharing, since my husband's gone, I drive his vehicle a couple of days and then I drive my vehicle. So his vehicle hadn't been driven in 4 days. And in that time, they built a nest. So these 2 little eggs, I had to move them. And the mother couldn't find them, so she went away. So the wind came and knocked them over, and then I could only find 1 egg. It's a whole drama, but I found the other egg. So both of them look like they do have some life in them. I've got them safe, and now I'm keeping them. So we are going to be having updates on Save the Eggs. I'll list as that. That'll be something that you'll be able to follow through videos on my page. And I wanted to say, get well soon, Sandra. I hope you're still watching or resting out there. But we think about you. We all think about you. Many people have reached out to me because they know I talk to you. So please, put out prayers for Sandra. And we hope that she gets better soon so she can get back home very fast, very fast. And I think that is going to bring us to the end. Yay. Thank you so much, Bill, for coming and joining me tonight. You got anything coming up?
Let me think. What month is this? Oh, OBC is coming up, Ohio Bigfoot Conference.
Yeah.
That's coming up. And then we are going to go see Joe Perdue and Ron Lincoln in West Virginia for the Mothman thing that they're putting on down there. Let's see. And then after that, I think we might be going to British Columbia. I don't know. I don't know what that's all about.
Well, we got the Sasquatch Shindig coming up in July in British Columbia at Harrison Hot Springs. And if you guys are interested in meeting Thomas Steenberg and me and probably Brent and the Howler, we're going to be over there camping, and we've got some spots already reserved at Sasquatch Provincial Park. So let me know if you're interested. You can contact me through harrymanhoaxes at gmail.com. I was going to put the banner up, but we're already out here. I don't want you guys to be late to see Thomas right now on Squatch DTV with Steve Calls. So y'all head over there. I love y'all, and we will see you guys in the next chat.